Welcome to the channel.
Hey everybody, so the shop is looking a little different right now because we got a new project.
This is actually my brother's Jeep. We recently visited Arizona for a fun trip and he couldn't get it running. And so Rich worked on it a little bit with him and was able to get it running. And we decided, you know, it'd be pretty cool to work on this. So let's haul it back to Texas. And we did that. And so now we're going to be doing a little bit of work on it just to make it a fun off-road vehicle again that my brother and sister-in-law can enjoy the mountains and camping in.
It was actually pretty simple getting this thing running again. I won't bore you with the details, but it's really important to make sure that all of your grounds are connected. And that's where I'm going to leave that. Yeah, sorry, Billy. So, like Amanda said, we wanted to bring it back and kind of do a tune-up on it. So we got a bunch of stuff here that we're going to put on this Jeep in order to get it running, hopefully back in like somewhat decent condition, at least to make it roadworthy. So yeah, let's kind of talk about what we got. All right, so I went on Rock Auto and got a bunch of parts. They are not sponsoring this video. Maybe in the future, we'll see, hopefully. If you're out there, Rock Auto, give me some parts. I do stuff. Okay, anyway, so what do we have? We have a distributor cap, distributor rotor, spark plugs, spark plug wires, fuel quick connect repair kit, transmission filter, pan gasket, exhaust gasket, exhaust manifold. That's going to be a really fun thing. Exhaust/intake manifold gasket. On these 4-liter inline Jeep engines, it's just one gasket for the intake and exhaust manifolds, which is pretty cool. And also pretty crappy because we got to take the intake manifold off as well. New fuel pump, fuel filter, and a transmission cooler line. So that's a ton of stuff, but we have a lot of work to do, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so step one is everything from the valve cover to this fender is coming out. Because, like I said just a minute ago, the intake manifold and exhaust manifold are on the same side of the engine. It's simple, but it's also super hard and difficult and complicated at the same time. So let's start wrenching this thing out of here. I have everything disconnected and I'm ready to pull the intake manifold off. And I don't know if I said it before about the intake and the exhaust manifolds being like on the same thing. Being easy, it actually makes it super freaking difficult. So there are some bolts on the underside in between where the exhaust runners come up and the intake runners come down that we had to get to in order to get this thing free. And that was the hardest thing I think I've ever done so far.
What was that?
I think GoPro just died. All right, well, let's see if this thing will come out. Kind of got to snake it by a bunch of stuff, so we will see. All right, there we go. All right, cool. That gives us a pretty good shot on the exhaust manifold here. So this thing is definitely leaking somewhere. Crazy exhaust leak on this thing, and it isn't super obvious where it is quite yet. That actually looks like a cracked weld right there. So that may be where it's coming from. Definitely a cracked weld down there. So this thing definitely needs to be replaced. So next step is remove the O2 sensor, remove this EGR pipe and the 2 bolts holding the exhaust on, and this guy should come right out. I know it doesn't seem like it on the video, but it's a lot later than when we started this video. And I feel like we haven't made a whole lot of progress. But anyway, all right, here we are. So the EGR tube and the O2 sensor are out. All the studs are out, so we're ready to pull the exhaust manifold out. Make sure the power steering pump is out of the way-ish here. This will all be in the way, of course. Come on, stay. So I should just pop right out of here. Okay. One exhaust manifold. And check this out. I don't know if you can pick this up on camera, but this is completely cracked all the way around here, up here, completely cracked all the way around that weld. So this is definitely leaking. You can tell that this engine block is in pristine condition and there are 0 leaks anywhere. So we'll get this gasket pulled off if it wants to come off. There we go.
Got it.
All right, that's the gasket. Straight to the trash can. Yeah, so can you see this up here? This is really wet up here, and I think this may be the oil pressure sender up here. And I can see some threads showing in there, and this is pretty wet right here. So I bet that we can clean this up and reinstall it and make sure that we put some Teflon or something on those threads so that this stops leaking. But I bet that was the source of all of that. Hey, look, there's one clean spot.
Hey.
So it is the next day. Like I said, we didn't make a whole lot of progress yesterday. Got hung up on these exhaust and intake manifold bolts. They're just so hard to get to. So finally got that figured out. So now we're rolling again. So right before we called it last night, I cleaned up the gasket mating surface on the cylinder head here and put the new gasket on. So what we got to do next is transfer the EGR tube and the O2 sensor to the new exhaust manifold. So we'll do that real quick and get the exhaust manifold installed. So I put some anti-seize on these threads just in case this ever has to come off again. Won't be so stuck. Gonna leave this one a little bit loose because we still gotta line it up to the bottom of the intake manifold. All right, I think it's ready to go in.
This is a fun puzzle.
Yeah. Maybe I should have waited to put the EGR tube on. Okay.
Okay, in place.
There we go. Can't see nothing.
That was a good song. So I'm gonna clean these injector ports here. They're very dirty. Gonna clean them out so that whenever we put the injectors back in, the seal will sit in there properly and doesn't like pop out or get destroyed or anything. So we definitely got these to look a lot better with some brake clean. Rich is just hitting the top edge there now with that red pad. But we were talking about maybe putting it in the sonic cleaner for a sonic bath.
So we took the throttle body off, all of the vacuum connections off, the intake air temperature connector off, just to get this thing down to the bare manifolds. We're going to throw it in the ultrasonic sink to try to clean this up. All right, so upon further investigation, what I said earlier, I thought that this was like an oil pressure sensor, but it's not. It's a water temperature sender, and that's the one that actually goes to the indication on the dashboard. So that's not the source of the oil leak. So I'm thinking that the source of the oil leak is just the valve cover gasket. So we're going to go ahead and get that replaced, but before that we got to take out 11 billion screws and take the valve cover off. So we're going to do that right now.
I'm on it.
All right, so the valve cover is off. I've already gone ahead and cleaned up the mating surface there. I didn't have a replacement gasket, so we had to run to O'Reilly's real quick to get one. And instead of the normal rubber and cork gasket that would come stock on these engines, we decided to get the rubber silicone gasket, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's going to make a better seal. So let's get that installed real fast. For comparison, here's the old gasket. You see that it came off in one piece. And here's the new gasket. We are cleaning up the valve cover and the ultrasonic sink right now. So while we are waiting for that to finish up, we're going to go ahead and do the tune-up on the ignition system. So new plugs, wires, rotor, and distributor cap. So we already pulled out the old spark plugs, and these are old auto lights from probably a while ago. But what I'm going to replace them with is a set of AC Delcos, which was what was recommended. So that's what the internet told me, you know, and I wholeheartedly trust everything that's on the internet. So, but they're exactly the same gap. A little bit of electrode missing on that guy, so it should run a little bit better, but we'll see. Just getting them hand tight right now, and then I'll go back and snug them down.
I'm going to take off the distributor cap, and we're going to replace that as well as the rotor. Dang, it's the longest screw in the history of screw bees. Doing this in a little bit. Okay.
Well, the ultrasonic sink is done. Apologies for all of the noise. The ultrasonic sink is super loud. All right, so now we're at the part where we can start putting stuff back together. So here's the intake manifold fresh out of the ultrasonic sink. It's way better than it did before.
So pretty.
So this guy is just, there's these little dowel pins that you gotta line up. There they go. And I need a bolt, and I didn't grab one. Get it started so it'll just hold it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So the other ones, the other bolts I have in the sonic sink right now to clean those up. So we'll just wait on that for a second, and then we'll bolt this the rest of the way down. We have the intake manifold on. Everything is torqued down there. So the next thing we're gonna do is get this valve cover back on with our brand new gasket. So that's gonna sit on here like that. Oh, you know what we need?
What do we need?
We need the hardware. Let me get that. Not 100%, but it looks way better than it did. This way.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. I think that sticker was on the front.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so finally got the valve cover in place. This water hose right here, there's a little bit of interference. This may be like a aftermarket water neck, I'm not sure. But we're able to get it in there. So now it's just getting all the hardware in and tighten it down to the correct sequence. So I just spent the last, I don't know, 2 hours probably putting the EGR tube back in. It turns out that this aftermarket factory replacement exhaust manifold, the connection's in a slightly different spot. And this is 1/2-inch steel, so it's not that flexible. So I had to get in there and mess with it for a while in order to get it to line up. So there was hammers involved and ratchet straps and sweat and blood, but it's in. So now we're moving on. The hell's going on out there? It's like Fast and Furious Diesel edition out there. All right, so next to go on is the heat shield. Pretty straightforward, just a few fasteners for this guy. And then once this is on, we'll put the throttle body on and the EGR valve and all that stuff.
What happened?
Well, what had happened is I broke the gasket, the mounting gasket, because it's probably 30, 40 years old. Wait, how long ago was 1990? Almost 40? 30? 32? 33?
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah, all right, yeah, it was 10 years ago. So I had to make a gasket. So I'm using gasket material for a Duramax on a Jeep engine. Hopefully it works. Don't know if it will. No, it'll be fine. It'll probably seal better than the old paper gasket did, if I'm being honest.
Can I be honest?
Oh shit.
Oh no.
No, that's right. Okay. Just a little bit of a freak out. No big deal.
There's a baby one.
All right, so it's a couple days later. We're back on the Jeep. It's hard to see, but all of the engine compartment stuff is put back together. I decided not to film any of that. Super tedious stuff. But the next thing that we got to do is install the new fuel pump and fuel filter. So let's go pull the old one out real fast. I gotta take this locking ring out of here. Almost there. There we go.
Oh, crusty and dusty.
Crusty and dusty. You know what? Maybe we should pull those lines off. How does that sound? That's probably what we should have done first.
A good idea.
Yeah. All right, let's get these off of here. Hopefully we don't have too much that leaks out of here. Let's see if I get an armpit full of gasoline. If this thing will come off. and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you pull the hoses off first. That's pretty funny.
We'll be back with a word from our sponsors.
I'm afraid that when this comes off, it's just gonna be like the spew all over the place.
Blow gas all in here.
Yep, just make sure your eyes and your mouth is shut. Hey Rich, why don't you make it 18 times more difficult than it needs to be? Okay, sounds like a plan. I bet there's a couple of you guys out there that are like, this idiot. Yelling at the TV screen right now. Is this your first car? Maybe. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Most of the time I just guess. Well, this is a return line, so this should be not much in here. I say that watching me like 4 gallons. So these are dollar store cups. And gasoline melts right through dollar store cups.
Sure does. It's a good thing gas evaporates, huh?
I was like, why does it smell so bad over here? Got it.
Well, it's like 4 gallons worth though, so that's good.
Now, can you grab a blue cup, please?
Blue cup coming in.
Okay, come on now. Oh yeah, this thing wasn't pumping anything.
What? How do you know?
Well, let me get this out and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Like, let me get this out,
Maybe.
you know, and then we'll talk about it.
Oh my god, it's so long. It just keeps
I
going.
know, it just keeps going. There's a trick to this somehow. There, okay. And then got it. Okay, so in the famous words of Derek Bieri, you can tell that it's broken because of the way that it is. So this is the hose, the discharge of the pump. This is the suction discharge. So it's just completely blown out.
The hose isn't hosing anymore.
No, it is hosed its last hose.
Wow.
So that's why we weren't making any pressure at the fuel rail, and for sure why we weren't running. And when we were, we definitely weren't running for very long.
Well, that's cool. We solved the problem.
Yeah, this is just like, so the fiber that's in between the layers of rubber is still attached, but that's it. The rubber is just turned into just goo. This is crazy. We need to get this filter swapped out because it is probably full of shit. Well, the odds this filter has never been changed. 100%. Jeez.
It's so old, it's like glued on there.
It's like, I'm not coming up. You can't make me.
Oh,
Got it.
only got your face a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
Wow. Guys, that's fuel, and it's black.
Yeah.
Up down.
I wonder if on the other side of the filter it's a little cleaner. Oh, there's nothing on the other side of the filter. Actually, we need to keep this hose though. All right, new stuff going in. Definitely got to do a dance to get this stuff in here. All right, that's a little bendy, so that makes it a little easier.
Right.
Look at that.
Slid right in once you
Piece of cake.
get that hose out of the way.
Let's get this junk off of here.
Oh.
All right, what else is in my way? Get out of here. It's a lot easier when you're on the top of the tank. And there isn't a giant axle differential right in front of your face. And you're short. All right, full of excuses today. Alrighty, we got the new pump in. So now we can install the hoses. All right, short tube was for the vent, or not the vent, but the return. We should lube those up.
Who would lube it?
How can there be so much friction? Alrighty. Vent tube goes, or the return goes on the little guy. And the supply went on the big guy. There we go. Alrighty. Plug in the connector. And then there's a little thing that snaps into over here. This needs to get moved though. It needs to come a little bit further down.
Ah, that guy. Okay, I see. That gets
Because
secured.
it kind of wants to lay about right here. Not even close to being the right size. Way to go, aftermarket. I'll grab the other one. Okay, well, what am I missing? Because this is what was on there.
Is there another bit to it? So what solution did you come up with?
It's a relatively new technology. I don't think a lot of people really know about it yet. It's a zip tie.
Oh, zip to do.
Everything is done minus the transmission work that we still have to do, but everything for the engine and the fuel system is complete. So let's fire it up. And remember, I don't know if we actually got it on video or not, but this thing would not start, it would not idle, it wouldn't do anything. So here we go. Oh yeah. No more exhaust leak. It actually has fuel pressure. No more oil leaks. Oh yeah. She's a runner. But if you take a look down here, we still have some work to do. So we need to swap out the transmission cooler lines. That's where that leak is coming from. And that fluid is super brown. So we're gonna do a fluid flush and change the filter and everything too. So that's coming up, but not tonight. So I'll see you in a couple of days. All right, well, welcome to day 4. That's what happens when you have a full-time job and you also have a full-time hobby. We are underneath the Jeep now, and we're finishing up the last couple of things we have to do, which is drop the transmission fluid, change the transmission fluid filter, and also change the supply line to the transmission cooler. So I think that is the last of all the things we have to do to the Jeep, and then we can take it out for a spin. So let's get started. Oh, jeez. That was on pretty tight.
It's probably a good thing.
I don't know. All right, let's see how much of this I can get in my armpit. Well, transmission fluid isn't supposed to be that color.
Yeah.
That is 100% burnt.
It's too dark.
Yeah. So once we put the new fluid in, hopefully it, I read somewhere that if you completely flush a transmission with brand new fluid, it ends up being more problematic. But if you leave some of the old fluid in and cap it off or top it off, then it's less problematic. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna put new fluid in after we change the filter. All right, we're down to the last couple of screws and we'll be able to pull this pan off.
What is this line connected to right here?
That's probably the dipstick. It should just come out.
Okay. You got it?
Well, it feels like it should just come out, but it's not just coming out. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more in there.
Just a little bit. Well, we got it out.
A little bit concerned. Can you see in there? It's super dark in here. Let's get into the light.
Let's get into the light.
All right, so there is a little bit of clutch material in here. So that was why the fluid was the color that it was. So this transmission's definitely been putting in work. I imagine going up and down the mountains in Arizona for 100 years, you know, this is potentially what will happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean this up, we're gonna replace the gasket, we're gonna change the filter, and we're gonna pretend we never saw any of that. And we're gonna put it right back on. Sound good? Great. Grand. All right, next we're gonna pull off this old filter.
We don't want to lose you. All right, last one. Okay. Whoop. Yep. I'm so nervous I'm gonna lose this guy. There we go. Okay, got it. Now we can put the new one in. So I just put the filter back on, just kind of hand tight down the bolts there. So Rich is grabbing the thingy, doing the thing. Awesome. And next,
We're gonna situate this gasket on here and put this pan back in place. How the hell do we get this out of here? Oh yeah, like that.
the delicate dance, remember?
Hell, if the dipstick was up. All right, put the drain plug back in with the gasket.
Can't forget that.
And then we torque it to a torque of some
Some kind of torque spec.
spec of some sort.
Let's go find out what that is.
It's gonna be calibrated. Oh, make sure my tool's going the right way. Click. Now the last thing I need to do is that cooler line.
All right.
Yummy.
It's a good thing we're adding some new stuff in, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What you doing there?
I'm just trying to save this quick disconnect connector.
Nicely done.
For the record, I'm not that fond of these connections.
For the record.
For the record. Did you record that? Is that on the record?
On the record. I don't need that anymore. Get out of here. Solid.
Yeah, the metal ones are nice. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, transmission fluid. I need a funnel. Where are my funnels? Fluid.
Wait, what were you saying?
I said, very important that you make sure you put this in the transmission fluid. Dipstick
'Cause-
hole, not the engine oil. Dipstick hole.
We would-
Actually, engine oil just is like way smaller. You'd never be able to get a funnel in there.
Sure, but we would be part of customer states.
Yeah.
Video.
Customer states. Customer did own oil change.
Customer is an idiot.
Is oil supposed to be red?
Oil's red, right?
It can be.
I guess you need
Actually, there is red oil. Like Motul, I think, is red. Royal Purple is purple.
paper.
All right, this is 1 gallon. Okay. We might not have enough, actually.
Since we dumped it all out.
Yep, here goes.
Oh, it's so pretty.
That's the color it's supposed to be.
Oh. Oh, it's like nighttime now.
Say what?
It's like nighttime now.
Yeah, you know.
What a hell.
All right, you ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's fire this thing up and run it through the gears. Hopefully it'll fire again.
Okay.
Runs like a top. All right, first of all, let's check to see if we're spewing fluid all over the floor.
And is it?
I don't see it, so that's a good sign.
Okay. I don't see any either.
All right, reverse. Neutral. Man, it sounds really good when it's not probably running out of gas.
Yeah. All right. So no fluid leaks down here?
All right.
Not literally none at all, which is very hard to see on this, but there's literally none at all.
Literally,
Literally.
not figuratively.
Yay, we did it.
Well, we need to check the level.
Well, hold on. We need to check the level. We didn't do it yet. Can you see it at all?
Cold fluid check, idling in park. Supposed to check it, idling in park.
Okay.
Isn't that what I said?
That's what you said.
Why don't I do the things that I say?
So yeah, oil is without it on.
So I'm gonna drive this thing down to the gas station, put gas in it. Hopefully it makes it all the way there.
Yeah, one of these days. You know, I could have told you that to check the transmission, it has to be on,
Oh yeah?
or transmission fluid. Yeah, could have told you. Don't know why I didn't.
It's in the good zone right now.
All right.
So maybe all right.
Guess we'll keep an eye on it to see, huh?
All right, guys. So I just got back from test driving the Jeep, and small issue. We got no reverse. It is completely left the chat. I remember back in Arizona when we were getting this thing running good enough to get onto a trailer anyway. Reverse was on its way out, was super jerky. Had to rev it pretty good in order to get it to engage. So I think after the filter swap and the fluid swap, finally gave up the ghost. I read somewhere that if you completely flush a transmission with brand new fluid, it ends up being more problematic. That's really unfortunate because the engine is running so well after doing the tune-up and everything on it. But luckily for us, there's a guy just a few miles down the road who's parting out a Jeep. So it's gonna have the what is it, AW4 transmission with the 21 spline output shaft, which is what we need. So I'm gonna go pick that up here. He's supposed to be pulling it today or tomorrow, so it'll be a couple of days probably until I have it. And then we'll swap it into the Jeep. But I'm not gonna include that on this episode. Maybe a future episode if that's something that you want to see. So please let me know in the comments below. It'll be a learning experience for all of us. If this content interests you or it's something that you like, leave me a comment down below. Hit that like button. The algorithm really likes it when you like it. Does that make sense? And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider doing that as well. Really helps me out. But yep, that's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.